Welcome to the lounge. All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the lounge, BHSA podcast. I'm Nate Latimer, joined as always by my co-host Mohak. Mohak, how we doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Good. First episode, a little bit of nervous jitters,
Absolutely.
A lot of nervous energy. I think we're ready to go.
I'm excited, bringing the energy. Hopefully everything goes well.
Chomping at the bit here.
Absolutely.
I thought it would be good to just give our listeners a little bit of background on ourselves. We're going to be hosting the podcast every week, bringing on some real interesting people. So I guess I can go first with a little bit of intro. So like I said, I'm Nate Latimer. I'm the Vice President of External Affairs for BHSA. I'm a junior finance major and accounting minor. Grew up in Westchester, Pennsylvania, so not too far from the city. And I've been with BHSA actually since my first semester freshman year. I joined the officer team my first semester freshman year as a fundraising committee associate and have loved the organization ever since. And I'm just super pumped to be able to bring this new and exciting experience in the Fox Honors legacy to your ears. Mohak, you have anything to add?
Absolutely. So my name is Mohak. I'm a sophomore finance major. I've been with BHSA only this past semester, and I'm the Director of Public Relations. Interesting guests on over the course of the summer, hopefully into the fall. So I'm ready to go.
I think it's only fair to introduce our first segment of the episode. And this is, something that Mohak and I have been passing around for a very long time, been thinking about, what's a great way to open up a podcast like this? And I think there's no other way than to introduce me and Mohak's first and only segment of the podcast, Pick of the Week.
Yes.
Now, Pick of the Week is anything and everything that's been on me and Mohak's minds this past week, and we want to share with you, the audience. So with that said, my Pick of the Week this week is a TV show. It is, and I know you're nervous, Mohak.
I'm waiting, dude.
In your face. Money Heist.
Oh, okay.
Money Heist is a Netflix Spanish language TV show about a bank robbery and heist and the ensuing drama after that. And I'm hooked, man. I love it. It's got everything you need. Action, drama, suspense. Keeps you on your
toes. And if I remember correctly, you watch it in Spanish, right? You don't watch the dub version. Yeah.
Here's the thing. So there's been some debate in the camps of whether subtitles or dubs, right? So I'm in the camp and fully believe that it's best watched with Spanish language and English subtitles.
With you there. Absolutely.
You don't see the actors' mouths moving in the right way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's weird.
It's weird. It's unnatural.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is going to be an interesting episode because in a minute here, we're going to bring on one of our guests, Fred Shub, and he is in the exact opposite camp. So I'll be sure to grill him on this. He likes dubs.
What?
I know. I can't believe it. I don't want to say too much about the guy, but what needs to be said about the dubs versus the subtitles, I think, is in itself. So
I think he's in the minority. I would guess that most people would be on the original language team.
It's more authentic, man.
It is more authentic.
It. And I don't want to give too much away. But
spoilers and all that. Yeah.
Safe to say, I'll leave it at it's a thrill ride. And in Spanish, it's authentic. It's got that foreign flavor that I really like, and altogether, it's just the elements of a show that I've just been obsessed with. So that's my pick of the week.
That's great because speaking of criminal activity, my favorite TV show, my pick of the week, is Ozark. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's about one of my favorite topics, money laundering, and it's a great show. So it's basically about this. Again, don't want to give too much away, but this guy, he's like a regular, actually, he was a finance guy. I think he was like an accountant or something like that. And he got in trouble with the cartel, basically, and he moved to the Ozarks in Missouri, which is like a bunch of lakes. But he sets up a bunch of money laundering schemes, and the whole show's about how he runs that stuff. So it's really interesting. It's super realistic too. So it's not too crazy. Ozark just doesn't. It's way more realistic. You could see it happening. So That's my pick of the week.
Interesting. Kind of concerned we both went the criminal activity way. I don't know what that says about the roots of this podcast. Safe to say that BHSA is not a criminal organization in any way.
Yeah, we're not affiliated with any criminal activity.
But it does make for entertaining TV. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
So after that, Mohak, I think it's about time to bring in our lovely guests. Today we're going to have Fred Shub and Colleen McFall two juniors and also fellow BHSA executive members. They're going to be able to talk about some advice and hopefully some things they wish they knew heading into freshman year. Freshman year, especially in the Fox Honors program, is such an exciting time.
Oh yeah,
so many
for
things
sure.
you're going to be able to find and discover.
Mm-hmm.
And at times it can be overwhelming. So we're hoping that this podcast, at least in any way that we can, kind of helps settle those nerves a little bit and can help you make the most out of your freshman year.
Absolutely. And the topic of this episode is definitely something that I wish I heard before coming into my freshman year. Just things I knew before I was a freshman, advice from upperclassmen. So I'm excited for this episode.
Let's get into it.
All right.
All right, everybody. We are back and joined by our two guests. Our first guest of the podcast. Really exciting. We have Colleen McFall and Fred Shub.
Woo!
Colleen, Fred, how we doing?
Doing great.
Fantastic. Happy to be here.
Great. And I think this podcast can't continue without giving Mr. Shub the opportunity to defend himself. You see, Fred, I made some accusations in the beginning of this episode about the differences between subtitles and dubs in our favorite show, Money Heist. And I think it wouldn't be fair if not to give you a platform to defend yourself. So you can go ahead and try to explain to the listeners why dubs are better than subtitles in Money Heist.
All right. Well, before we get into anything else, I guess we have to address that. I think that dubs are better than subs because when you're watching a show in a language you don't understand and it's subtitled, oftentimes the translations are a lot more literal and don't convey a lot of the meaning that goes into like the tone and the way an actor says something, actress says something. When it's dubbed, you have people who understand both English and in this case Spanish, who are taking not only the words that the Spanish actors are saying, but also the meaning and the tone and the intricacies of the language and conveying that into English, into the same intricacies, into something that matches up a little bit better. And I just think you get more from that than you would from subtitles. So there's my 2 cents on that.
Beautiful.
I'm speechless, Fred. That was something special.
You had that prepared.
That was good. We just threw it on.
heck?
You came ready. We had firepower ready to go. That was. If you want to host the podcast now, I guess I can give up my seat. I don't know how I followed that up. Well, I think it would be a great place to start if you guys just wanted to give the listeners a little bit of background on yourselves and your experience with BHSA. Colleen, if you want to start.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Colleen. I'm going to be a junior in the fall. I'm a finance major and an accounting minor. And I joined BHSA actually my first semester freshman year. So while we were at retreats, they announced that they had like a couple positions where you could be a committee member on the fundraising committee. I just kind of blindly applied, didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So that's where I started. And then from there, really enjoyed my time and the people that were there. So I became the director of fundraising, and I am now the vice president of operations. So it's been really cool and kind of full circle to, move from committee member all the way up to exec. And I've really, I've met my best friends here. I've met my best connections here. And I owe so much of my Temple experience to BHSA.
Perfect. Fred, you got anything to add?
Yeah. So I'm Fred. I am a rising junior finance major and a legal studies minor. And I joined BHSA about halfway through freshman year, probably a couple of months in before the end of the first semester. Started off on the fundraising committee. Colleen was my director at first, and then I moved over to student engagement under professional development where Nathan was my director, and now I'm serving as the president. So the 3 of us together make up our lovely executive team. I'll just echo everything that Colleen said. BHSA brought me, a lot of my closest friends, all my fantastic connections, and it feels good to now be in a position where we can give back to the organization that gave us a lot. So I'm happy to do this and happy to talk about anything that you'd like to get into and, kind of reach out to all the incoming freshmen, whoever else is out there listening.
Perfect. Well, thank you both for the introductions. And like you said, Fred, we want to tailor this episode to be all about the incoming freshmen. I think this is, and everybody can agree here that it's going to be a really interesting time and definitely a time full of challenges that we haven't had before, that we certainly haven't had during our freshman year. But I think the advice and the experience that we've gathered over our years at Temple, and especially within your experience in the Fox Honors program in BHSA, can definitely still be applied this coming fall. And there's definitely still some great opportunities to discover all that Fox Honors and BHSA has to offer. So I think it's just best to start out with you two. The theme of this episode is what I wish I knew as a freshman. if you guys have anything that you wish you knew as a freshman, feel free just to offer that advice up to everybody listening.
Sure. I can start. So a little bit of background. So I came into Temple Business Undecided and really had no idea what I wanted to do in business. I just wanted to be in business and I just ended up there. But I was pretty lost when I started. And something I definitely wish I knew freshman year is don't stress so much about your major freshman year. Everyone is going to change it. Even the people that you come in freshman year who think they know exactly what they're doing and have their whole lives planned out end up changing it at some point. And I'm a perfect example of that. I've changed my major like 4 or 5 times before kind of finding my place and settling in. But I think freshman year, I really was just more focused on like getting a major than actually looking for one that I liked and I could stick with. And I think that's the reason why I switched so much, because as soon as I got kind of comfortable, I just kind of dove in without really thinking. So take a breath, and it's okay if you don't know what you're doing. You will figure it out at some point, and there's a ton of resources and people who will help you do that.
Colleen, like you said, you've had a lot of experience in trying to find a major and bouncing around from different education plans back and forth, and before finally settling on your major now. What would you say is the best way, for those freshmen that are really unsure of what they want to focus on in business to try to find, what they are interested in?
Yeah, absolutely. I think definitely take advantage of your first, pretty much all of your freshman year, but even into your sophomore year. Everyone in Fox has to take like basically the intro level of all the business courses. So regardless of your major, you're going to have to take accounting and finance and MIS. So really take advantage of those classes, talk to those professors, and start to, because you're only going to get a little bit of a taste of what each of those was. And my problem was, if I even kind of liked it, I just switched my major instead of taking a little bit more time to talk to professors and also utilize, your upperclassmen in Fox Honors. That's a huge resource that we have. We have a whole community of people in every single different grade. Talk to those people. They've been in your position. There's people from all kinds of majors who are like more than willing to give you advice. And really just talk to people and get their opinions on it before you just run into, your advisor's office and switch your major for the second time in a month.
Yeah, absolutely. You have time, and that's the beauty of freshman year, is that there's so much time to be able to, figure out what really interests you and what paths you want to potentially be on. And just having the knowledge and I guess a little bit of the wisdom to know that even if you think you're on a path that you might like to pursue, there's always an option to change.
Get close with your advisors. They know the courses, they know the professors, and if they know you, they can help you make better decisions, more tailored to you specifically rather than just kind of general advice. So get close with your advisors. They're going to be a huge resource for you. And Fox Honors has the beauty of having such a small group that your advisors will know pretty much everything about you.
I'll add something there. Sometimes it's not even the classes you take, but like Colleen said, the people you meet. So
yeah.
Like I came in with the IB major and I switched because of people I met that were actually in the finance world, and they kind of convinced me to switch over. So sometimes, upperclassmen, people who have been around the block, sort of talk to them and see what their experiences is, and you might change your mind.
Absolutely. And also check out SPOs. Like for the first, I think almost like semester, at least couple months, you can pretty much go to any SPO meeting without having to fully commit like with dues, and they'll have speakers from all different industries come in and talk about their jobs. So that's just a cool way to see like different jobs that different majors might be tied to. So just like explore and just learn, take it as much as you can before you feel like you have to make some kind of solid decision.
Yeah.
Perfect. Fred, you got anything to add?
Absolutely. I mean, I think everything that was just said is absolutely correct. And I just kind of want to jump off it. And because I do think that we got a lot of really good guidance as freshmen. So when you asked me this prompt, I wasn't quite sure. It took me a while to think about what I really wished I knew. And I think what it boils down to for me is that you have to understand that there's so many people that are going to offer you help as a freshman, but there's so many more people that are willing to help that aren't going to like come out and, explicitly say it. So like, when you join clubs and you join BHSA, you're going to have upperclassmen come up to you and you're going to have people offer you help and you're going to have people, trying to guide you. But there's a whole, vast collection of people out there, upperclassmen, professors, advisors, that are so willing to help if you just go out and be proactive and just ask them about it. You kind of have to take that into your own hands because there's only so much you can do with what people will offer you. There's going to come a time where you have to start reaching out to people that you just know of that haven't necessarily said anything to you, and just ask them for help, because when it comes down to it, everyone here is a Temple student or a Temple alumni or a Temple faculty, and everyone's on the same team. So everyone's going to be willing to give you advice, help you out. You just kind of have to be proactive and ask for it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice, Fred. I think a lot of freshmen come in with the mindset that just because they don't have, the most polished resume with 16 internships, or even have a resume for that matter, that somehow they're not qualified to talk to the people they want to speak with. And in my experience, that's been the exact opposite. I think the earlier you are into your college career, the more willing people are to bend over backwards to try to help you out and, help give information in any way that could guide your future. And it just takes that little bit of courage to reach out. And it's scary. It's terrifying. I remember the first time that in our first BHSA meeting, I walked up to Sean, who's the former president, and asked about applying for a role. I was terrified. I was sweating bullets. I'm so glad I did it. I mean, just those little things, especially so on into your college career, they add up and they make you, a much more confident and sociable person leading into the later years of your networking career.
No, yeah, it's terrifying at first. It's so scary. It's hard. And but you have to understand, everyone comes from the same baseline. Everyone starts in the same place as a freshman. So I think the sooner that you understand that, you're going to have to get through it, and people will be willing to help, and you'll get over that hump, the better off you'll be.
And I'm a year younger than you guys, right? So when I came in first, all of you guys were scary. I mean, just like anyone that was not a freshman to me was just scary. So, but over the course of the year, obviously I got to get to know you guys and I felt a lot more comfortable. Like Nate, you helped me with my resume. Fred, you helped me with my cover letter. Colleen, you kind of carried during the Fox Fun experience. So, all you guys have kind of contributed to me individually. And so for freshmen coming in, I'd say, just like they've been saying, don't be scared to reach out to people and, sort of use your network.
The earlier you start, the better, because it's just great practice for when you're going to have to be going out into the professional world and networking. The more people you talk to now, the easier it's going to be to kind of spark up a conversation at a more important time. And it won't be your first time talking to someone new when it really counts.
And for those freshmen, if you can't tell, networking is going to be drilled into your brain. We've probably said that 50 times in this podcast. But in my mind, when I think about networking, it's different than what a lot of people think. I think a lot of people think that networking is adding 6 million people on LinkedIn and, hopefully one day you have a chance encounter with them and offer you a job. But I think a lot of freshmen and just a lot of people in general approach networking with the wrong mindset, right? In our mind, and I think something we try to push in BHSA and Fox Honors, is that networking is a living, breathing activity, right? It's establishing relationships that can last 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in the future, that you're able to call upon other professionals in the field and, exchange ideas, exchange opportunities, just establish a really strong relationship with someone, and it'll pay dividends in the future. And I think the first real big step to doing that is engaging in the Fox Honors community. Everyone is willing to, form that strong network and strong personal relationship with you. And it's just a matter of, knowing who to talk to.
Yeah. And if you're an incoming freshman and you have made it this far into listening to this, I challenge you to reach out to one of us, and you'll have made a connection before you even step foot on camp's.
Absolutely.
All of our emails are just our first name dot last name at temple.edu. So if it's video, maybe pop it up there. I don't know, but reach out to us. We're always happy to talk.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's a great place to wrap up the episode. But before we go, Colleen, Fred, the spotlight is on you and the heat is on. If you had to describe your freshman year in one word, what would it be?
I would go with surprising. I think it, from where I started freshman year to where I ended up, I would have never guessed, but I'm very happy I am there, but definitely a lot of twists and turns along the way.
I guess I would go with transformative. I think life-changing is a good alternative for that. I think there were so many things that I did and that happened to me freshman year that, like Colleen said, were, I guess, surprising in a way, and just really kind of shaped the rest of my college experience. And I think have put me on the path that I'm on, which I'm pretty happy with. I think we're all in pretty good spots. But yeah, I think you just kind of have to take it as it goes, and it's going to be a lot. And it feels like freshman year was a billion years long, but
Yeah.
just because there's so much packed in there. But yeah, it was a good time.
And going off that, I will say, like, don't stress out when, things start changing. Like if your friend group starts changing or your major or, the different things you're interested in, they're going to. Like, the people that you meet at orientation might not be your best friends for the rest of college. I didn't even start hanging out with Fred and Nate really until about second semester. Like, it's okay if things change. It's all for a reason. Just go with it.
All right. I think with that, it's a great time to end the episode. But Colleen, Fred, thank you so much. And thank you for coming to the lounge.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Nate. Thank you, Mohak.
Thanks for listening to The Lounge, a BHSA podcast.